Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. My name is Charlie Brito, and you are listening to the inaugural episode of the Pick Six podcast, a senior project all about New England sports. It's been a big week for New England. We got a lot to cover. Let's get right into it. How could I not start off with talking about the New England Patriots getting it done 16-3 over the Chargers Sunday night in Foxborough? Before I get into the stats, let me tell you, I was there, and this city is ready. It's only been 4 years, 5 years since the playoffs, and it was electric. Night game in Foxborough, playoffs. Drake May's first playoff game. Not too sure how he handled it yet. I don't think I've decided whether or not he handled it the way we thought he would, or better, or worse, or a lot to improve on regardless. But let's get into it. Speaking of Drake May, 17 for 29, 268 yards, and an interception. But the cherry on top was a perfectly placed breakaway touchdown to Hunter Henry midway through the fourth quarter. Let's get a look at it here. Uh, Hopefully we'll get a look at it. Maybe not. Computer doesn't want to work right now. But what a throw this was. Under pressure, rolls out to his left. 15 yards in the air, maybe, got down in the books as a 28-yard passing touchdown right over Derwin James. Couldn't have walked down the field and placed this ball in a better position. And let's be honest, if this doesn't happen at this point in the game, I mean, it was 9-3, 10 minutes left. This is still a ball game. I think this was the backbreaker to me. There was a couple moments. Christian Gonzalez has a big pass breakup on fourth down. The fumble from Justin Herbert later on. But this, to me, was the moment that kind of sealed the game for me. This was a huge momentum shift from the Patriots offense. Despite the backbreaker, consistently throughout the night, this Patriots defense was crushing the Chargers. The Chargers could not get anything done the entire night. And to be honest, I think it came down to the defensive line. The Patriots defense held Justin Herbert to 19 completions on 31 attempts. Okay. Two of those came from Milton Williams, still fresh off of an ankle injury. After missing 5 games, Williams returned last week against the Dolphins under a limited snap count and posted just a single solo tackle and an assisted tackle. Despite the quiet return to end the regular season, Williams came back into the playoffs today, and he was ready to rock. Unrestricted snap count, I would assume as close to perfectly healthy as he can get, because he looked like it. 2 solo sacks, 2 tackles, and an assisted tackle, including the game-sealing sack on fourth down, which I'm going to attempt to show you, but it does not look like this is going to let me. Yes, it is. Let's take a look. Hopefully. All right, still does not want to work. We'll try and get back to those clips. Anyway, Milton Williams has solidified himself, in my opinion, as one of the premier defensive tackles in the NFL. That game was his best performance of the year, I believe. 2 weeks removed from an ankle injury that sidelined him for 5 games. And, you know, in theory, he seals the game for the Patriots. I know I talked about Drake May's touchdown. And yes, if you can't put points on the board, you can't win the game. But this was a game of momentum, and the Chargers did not have any the entire night. They could not move the ball on the ground. They could not move the ball through the air. The only way they really could move the ball was through Justin Herbert's legs. And next week against the Texans, CJ Stroud does not have that ability. CJ Stroud is not 6'5", 6'6". CJ Stroud does not run the same way that Justin Herbert does. This game was won by the defense, in my opinion. Not only the defensive line, though, I think the back end of this defense showed up big time compared to where they were at in the past couple weeks. Christian Gonzalez, in particular, I think had one of the best games, if not the best game, of his young career. He did not contribute any turnovers. However, 5 targets, 0 receptions allowed, 2 pass breakups. Now, Gonzalez would leave the game earlier in the fourth quarter with a reported head injury, later making a statement to the media in which he said he, quote, could not talk to the media at this time, but was fine. Gonzalez was active on social media last night and early this morning, which led fans to believe that he was fine. Mike Vrabel would go on to, yesterday morning, this was. Yesterday around 1 p.m., Mike Vrabel, head coach, made a statement that Gonzalez was going into concussion protocol. As I was prepping for this episode about an hour ago, Christian Gonzalez posted on his Instagram a picture of him and Milton Williams with the song name I'm Back by Rod Wave. Interpret that however you like, but I would assume that means it's not too serious, hopefully. In terms of this weekend, the Patriots will face off against the Texans on Sunday afternoon in Foxborough, again at 3 p.m. Houston took down the Steelers last night in what was really a defensive showcase until the fourth quarter when they really opened it up and ended up winning 30-6. I'm going to be honest, we'll get into it a little bit later, but I just want to touch on it really quick. This Texans defense is scary. I'm not going to sugarcoat it to make Patriots fans feel better. As a Patriots fan, I wouldn't say I'm terrified, but I am pretty damn scared of what this Texans defense could do to the offensive line, especially if the offensive line plays the way that they did against the Chargers. Because Chargers have a great defense, but they don't have a defense that should warrant Drake May to get sacked 5 times. Not every time was the offensive line's fault, but, if we're letting up 5 sacks to that defense, some things need to change before we play this front 7 of Texas. Not just the front 7. I mean, this entire defense is serious. But we'll touch on that a little bit later. The Bruins had a great weekend, defeating the Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins 10-2 and 1-0, respectively. Sunday afternoon, I believe. Yep, Sunday afternoon at the Garden. Bruins take down the Penguins 1-0. But the real highlight of this weekend was a Saturday matinee against the Rangers at home in the white uniforms, 10-2. David Pastrnak leads the team in points on the day with 6 assists. Murat Kuznetsov netted 4. Pavel Zacha had a hat trick, and the hot hand Fraser Minton with another 2 goals on top. This was a beatdown. This was a game for about 3 minutes in the very beginning of the game. It's getting away from me right now on who scored the opening goal for the Rangers. But about 3 minutes into the game, the Rangers score. The Bruins respond about 30 seconds later. And that was it. I believe the Bruins scored 2 more goals in the first, 5 goals in the second period, and another 3 in the third period. This was never a game. And that was the Bruins team that we know and we love. And really, I mean, that was obviously a bad day from the Rangers, but I think this was a very complete game from the Bruins. And despite how the Rangers were playing, that's how the Bruins should be playing every game. They finally looked and felt like one connected unit. And that was very refreshing after seeing the kind of roller coaster of a season and a schedule that they had so far. If you look at their past, I think 20 games, they've gone on 4 winning and losing streaks where they go 6-1, and then they go 0-8, and they go 8-1, and they cannot find any momentum. And I think this is something great to really kick off consistency for this team. If they can continue playing like that, I promise great things will happen for that team. They're in a tough spot right now. I believe they're fifth in the Eastern Conference, but they're only 5 points back. It's a competitive conference this year. It's going to take a lot, but I think they can get something done in the playoffs if they continue to play like that. Talk Alex Bregman. We're going to get to Alex Bregman and the Red Sox. We have a whole Red Sox segment planned at probably around 8:30, I would say. Got a lot to get into about the Red Sox. It's been there's a lot to talk about the little that has happened. I'll just say that. We're going to get into that in a minute. But to wrap up the updates here pretty quickly, Friars hockey had a great weekend with 2 huge victories against 12th ranked Maine. They will face off against Bruins first round draft pick James Higgins and Boston College this weekend. Friday they are at Boston College, and Saturday they are in Providence. In other sports news, the College Football National Championship is around the corner with 10th ranked Miami going up against Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers next Monday night at Hard Rock Stadium. A quick point that I want to make about that game: we have a segment for the national championship, probably around 8:50. 4-0 our teams, college and the NFL combined, when playing in the championship game with a home field advantage. So a lot has to happen with this Indiana team for it to go right. Do I think they can get it done? You'll find out at 8:50. I make my prediction for the game. Speaking of college football, the transfer portal is upon us. A chaotic time wraps up on Friday afternoon, but a lot has already taken place. A lot of the top college players in the portal have already found their home. The biggest headline of all of that is number one wide receiver in the portal, in my opinion, in the entire college football world next year, apart from Jeremiah Smith, obviously. Cam Coleman, formerly an Auburn Tiger, finds his new home with Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns down in Austin. This is a huge pickup for the Texas team. I'm a Texas Longhorns fan. And this year was really handicapped by Arch Manning's lack of passing threats downfield. Arch Manning has a great arm. He's got great legs. He can escape the pocket and make the throws. He can't make the throws if there's nobody to throw to. And Parker Livingston, DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo could not get it done. Now, Ryan Wingo is staying. Ryan Wingo is a great receiver, but he can't do it alone. College football is a pass-heavy game. If you don't have multiple threats, you will not succeed. And we saw this from Auburn. Auburn only had one real wide receiver threat in Cam Coleman. He did not do great, but he's a great receiver. Ryan Wingo, Cam Coleman will be the headliners for this Texas wide receiver group next year. Parker Livingston entered the transfer portal and moved on to Oklahoma. We're not even going to talk about that because he doesn't deserve his moment. And DeAndre Moore, I believe, went to Oregon. I'm not totally sure about that, but I believe he is at Oregon. Along with him, former Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola entered the transfer portal and will be joining the Oregon Ducks along with Minnesota star safety and two-way player. He was getting in there a little bit this year, but we'll see what ends up happening with him this year at Oregon. Coy Parrish, who has decided that he's had enough fun representing his home state and was ready to search for a ring. That was a lot, but that's all for updates. We got a lot of emails and a couple fun segments to get to, and we'll be right back to do it after this quick break. Will we? Can't go to break. All right, I'm not having any success changing over my screens right now, so I guess we're not going to go to break right now, and we are just going to work through these technical difficulties. Next up on the calendar here, I can't access it because the computer is frozen, was supposed to be a segment completely dedicated to the Patriots, which I guess we can do without the game highlights. This is going to be quite the game on Sunday in Foxborough. 3 p.m. kickoff. We'll get a night game towards the end of it, which always adds another level of another level of pressure, I think. But this is going to be a defensive game. Do not be fooled. This wasn't that wasn't Drake May's one playoff game without 3 passing touchdowns. This week is going to be a defensive grind. Neither quarterback is going to succeed. I don't think there's going to be a lot of run game. This is just going to be a slugfest between two of the premier defenses in the NFL. Let's go through some of the stats here. Overall, the Texans defense is ranked second in the NFL. They are sixth in pass defense, fourth in rush defense, second in pass rush measured by sacks, and second in turnover margin with a turnover margin of plus 17. They have taken the ball away 17 more times than they have turned the ball over. To put that in perspective, the Patriots are 12th, and theirs is plus 3. So, yes, CJ Stroud is a much more veteran quarterback style and much more responsible with the ball than Drake May is. That being said, plus 17 is not because of turnovers on the other side of the ball. It's not. I can't even try and play the schedule game because of the Patriots' schedule this year. This is just a monster defense. They have not one, but 2 number 1 rushing threats on most teams in Danielle Hunter and Will, his name now, Will Anderson. Sorry. In Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. They have produced 112 pressures this year just between the two of them and have the number 1 pass rush rate in the entire NFL. On the back end, they have Jalen Pitre and I'm going to forget his name as well. Whatever. 2 of the best defensive backs in the league. This team all around is just solidified as a top 5 defense in every position group. They will get to you with pressure. They can stop the run. And they can take the ball away from you in the air. However, this game can also be won on the defensive side of the ball for the Patriots. The Houston Texans rank 30th in passing defense. Their offensive line is hurt. Their offensive line is weak. And C.J. Stroud clearly, as we saw last night, does not handle pressure well. If Harold Landry is healthy, which, to be honest, he did not have a lot of production and did not look very healthy last Sunday, but if he can get healthier, if Robert Spillane can produce, if Milton Williams can do what Milton Williams did, and the back end of this defensive group can do what they did last week, the pass game of this team will be completely shut down. CJ Stroud and this Texans offense will be forced to hand the ball off. And to be honest, I think this Texans matchup offensively for the Patriots defense is better than the Steelers. You can't run the ball against a Mike Vrabel coach defense. Mike Vrabel prides himself, and this was clear on day one. Mike Vrabel prides himself on his run defense. He made that clear when he signed Robert Spillane. He made that clear when he signed Milton Williams. And he made that clear when he signed, re-signed, went after all of these different run-stopping threats on the defense. So all the power to you, Houston Texans. You're not going to be able to run the ball. And we can come back to this next week after the game. They're not going to be able to run the ball. And if that offensive line is going to have to block is going to have to pass block for 70% of the snaps on Sunday because they can't run the ball. It's going to be a long day for CJ Stroud and hopefully a great day for this Patriots defensive back group. That being said, it's going to be very difficult for this pass group to do what they did last week if Christian Gonzalez is not here. Christian Gonzalez went down in the fourth quarter with a head injury, was put into concussion protocol earlier on Monday. And to be honest, it didn't really look that bad. He's had a history of injuries, which has made it difficult to rely on him. But don't get it wrong. He is a playmaker and he is a huge impact on this team when he is healthy. The Patriots are 14-1 when Christian Gonzalez plays the full game. And that is all of the proof that you need that this guy is a top lockdown corner in the league. He puts wins on in the win column. He was targeted 5 times last week, 0 receptions. He took Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey off the map when he was lined up against them. Like I said, the Patriots are 14-1 when he plays the full game. He is highly regarded as a top 3 defensive back in the NFL. He was second team Associated Press All-Pro, and many people think he should have been first team. He has one of the highest man coverage PPF gradings in the entire league, and he's in his 3rd year. If you can sign this guy to a long-term contract and you don't, you're making a huge mistake. This guy puts wins in the win column, and that is clear. That was clear through the stats. That was clear on Sunday night. Teams like this, like the Chargers, like the Texans, that all have evenly balanced receiving threats, I think pose more danger than a team with one big receiving threat. Because no matter who the threat is, he's going to take them out of the game. If the Chargers said, okay, we're going to target Quentin Johnson for 70% of the snaps, he's going to be the first look, he's taken out of the game. Automatically has to go to the second threat. If it was Ladd McConkey, he can take Ladd McConkey out of the game. If Pittsburgh wins the game last night, DK Metcalf is taken out of the game. Who are they going to pass to? Who is Pittsburgh going to pass the ball to if DK Metcalf is completely eliminated from the game? Houston, Nico Collins goes down with a concussion last night. He might not be back, which is huge if Christian Gonzalez cannot come back. But in a perfect world, both of them come back. Nico Collins is completely eliminated from the game. Mark my words, if Nico Collins and Christian Gonzalez play, Christian Gonzalez will be matched up on Nico Collins and completely eliminate him from the game. I believe, I'm not sure exactly on the numbers, but I earlier this week saw the stats. Gonzalez was targeted only 60 something times on over 500 pass snaps, defensive pass snaps this year. He allowed 28 completions, completion percentage of mid 30 percentage, 280 yards total he allowed, and 1 touchdown, which was on a busted coverage. That is unheard of. There's maybe 2 or 3 guys that put up numbers like that the entire year. I think, if I had to grade and rank everybody from the game last week, I would put him at my number 1 spot on the defense. Yes, Milton Williams had a great game. But let's be honest. If those guys are wide open down the field, Justin Herbert's not standing in the pocket because he's having a fun time back there. He's standing back there because nobody is open. He's scrambling because nobody is open. Christian Gonzalez puts wins in the win column and is the reason that this defense is as successful as it is. And he will continue to do so if he can stay healthy, which has been the biggest concern of this team. And I think if he comes back and this defensive line can get through on the pass rush, it's going to be an easy win for them this week. That being said, my computer is still not working, and I cannot show you my player of the week highlights, which were Christian Gonzalez. I was planning on leading into the segment and showing you his highlights from the game. That is not working currently. I am realizing that I forgot to talk about the Celtics on the updates, though, so we can try and do that and see if the screen media will work. It is. Okay. I think it should be working now. Nope, it's not. All right. So we're going to stay on this and do what we can without any on-screen media. Whatever. Moving on. The Boston Celtics started their road trip last night out in Indiana, losing a close one, 98-96. Peyton Pritchard led the team in points with 23. You're probably scratching your head. What about Jaylen Brown? Boston was clearly hurting, and I'm not a big basketball fan, but it was pretty evident to me. Boston is clearly hurting without their star player, Jaylen Brown, in the absence of Jason Tatum, obviously still rehabbing from his torn Achilles. Jaylen Brown was out as well. He popped up on the injury report with low back spasms early in the week after the loss to San Antonio 195, in which I would show you the clip, but I cannot. Jaylen Brown had some choice words for the officials after the game. Going on Twitter after the game and saying, "Find me, I'm sick of this bleep." He also, in an interview, said, "I'll take the bleeping fine," and had a rant about how the officials officiated that game. I did see a headline also as I was prepping for this episode that the NBA actually came out and sided with Joe Mazzulla. I think it's separate incidents, but there was some sort of illegal screen that was being missed over and over again, I believe, in one of the recent games, and the NBA actually came out and agreed with Joe Mazzulla and tried to clear the air on that officiating issue, which I found pretty interesting. So it must have been pretty bad. I'm not a huge basketball follower, um, but I found that very interesting that the NBA would come out and basically say, "Our guys were wrong, you guys were right," which is rare from one of these leagues nowadays. Um, let's see. Nope, still not working. Okay, so was going to try and get into some Red Sox talk with a couple things to show you, but we're going to have to do without. But it's all right. The Red Sox haven't been doing much either, so what does it matter? The Red Sox. We got to talk long and hard about this because it has been really rough for this Red Sox team. Alex Bregman earlier this week walks. The Red Sox called his bluff, said, "No other team is offering you more than this. You're going to come back to Boston. We're not going to offer you anymore." A couple days later, he says, basically, "Oh, yeah, watch this," and signs with the Chicago Cubs. I believe it's 6 year, $175 million. The Red Sox had offered him 6 years or 5 or 6 years, $150 million, I believe. And this is a huge loss for this Red Sox team. Um, Red Sox fans are already frustrated that Craig Breslow and this Red Sox team have not done anything so far in free agency. Literally nothing. I believe right as the episode was starting, I was checking to see if there was any updates, and they had signed one person, I believe. Let me check. So from the Sports Illustrated 2 hours ago, the Red Sox have signed a 6'6" right-handed pitcher from the Astros. We'll get into some Astros targets for this Red Sox team that actually matter in a minute here. The Boston Red Sox have had an ongoing trend this offseason of adding tall players in minor league deals. Andrew Parker of SoxProspects.com reported that the Red Sox are signing 6'6" righty Patrick Halligan to a minor league deal. So I take back everything I said. The Red Sox have not signed anybody of any importance to this team. Can somebody call Craig Breslow's office and see if he still has a pulse, or is he laying dead on the floor in his office? Because what are you doing? With all respect, what are you doing? If it's good, if it's bad, do something. You cannot be a general manager in a major league setting, have a team barely make it to the wild card round and lose against your rival and then not do anything in free agency. That is a cardinal sin against all general managing rules. And it's not like excuse me. It's not like free agency just opened. It's been open for weeks now, and you haven't done anything. You have the money, you have the options. You could have just re-signed the player that the fans love, has pretty good talent, and is a great personality. But you didn't. You let him walk. So now what are you going to do? You have a couple options, which we're going to go through here in a second, but it's getting ridiculous. The management of this Red Sox team in the past couple of years has been, quite frankly, terrible. And it seems like people are getting fed up, and that's where things get really dangerous. Like I said, it's not like they don't have options either. We're going to go through a couple of them here. Bo Bichette has been the number one name that everybody has been talking about. 2025, he batted 311 with 18 home runs, 94 RBIs, 840 OPS, and a 3.5 WAR. Pretty similar stats to Alex Bregman. Higher batting average, higher, I'm sorry, same amount of home runs, I believe, and a pretty solid bat. Pretty solid bat. He is pretty good. He's only 27 years old, and the hesitation that I believe they're having is that he's only 27 years old. Bo Bichette wants to find his team. He wants to find his home, and he's seeking a long-term contract. I believe the rumor was in excess of 8 years and $300 million. More than 8 years, I think. 10 years or something like that. A lot of money. He's great, but it's very, very hard to predict if somebody is going to be great and worth that value in 10 years. And I can't blame them for being hesitant of that. But if that's the case, why wouldn't you re-sign Alex Bregman to a 5 or 6 year deal, pay him what he wants, keep him happy, keep the fans happy, and just you can stay like this or you can go up. But why go down? If you can stop yourself from going down, then why would you? I don't understand that. Eugenio Suarez is the next name that comes to mind. This guy rakes, as they say. 49 home runs in 2025. This is exactly what this Red Sox team lacks, which is a strong right-handed bat. He batted 228 in 2025. He's a power hitter. Fine. 1.277 OPS at Fenway Park. Craig Breslow and the entire Red Sox front office should be sitting in their chairs drooling hearing that number. This guy is exactly what they've been looking for in a strong right-handed bat that puts fear into the bullpen. Oh crap, we got to go up against Eugenio Suarez today. Oh crap, we got to go up against whoever. If they ever sign anybody, they don't have that guy right now. They do not have an oh crap, we're going to go up against this guy today. And that is dangerous. You cannot give major league pitchers any confidence. They need to walk onto the mound and be scared of what they're facing. And there's no fear. No fear on this lineup. The scariest player that you had last year was Roman Anthony for a couple months before he got hurt. And he was on and off. There was no player that when I was watching or, you know, when other teams were playing them that I said, oh boy, this guy's about to bat. and they said, "Oh crap, this guy's coming up to bat next." There was none of that. You need that in a major league franchise, and it's hard to watch them sit here and continue to not do anything. The pitching last year, I'll give it to them, was great, but you're kind of leaving Garrett Crochet out to hang here if we're being super picky. Not even super, if we're being picky. All right, because filling Alex Bregman's absence now and finding that bat is the main priority. But if that's not what they're looking to do right now, then a solid accompanying piece to Garrett Crochet is the next step because it's Garrett Crochet and everybody else right now in that bullpen. There's no number two piece. Framer Valdez has been the name. He is a top of the rotation guy for the Astros. He puts up great numbers. 2025, 13 and 11, 3.66 ERA, 192 innings pitched with 187 strikeouts and a 1.24 whip. He's a workhorse. This guy will pitch a lot of innings. He had a pretty good amount of complete games, I think. He had more than a couple complete games. He is in the top of the league in ground ball percentage, 58.6. But he's getting older. He is 31, I want to say. He's 32. You could get this guy for probably 4 to 6 years, I would say. 6 being the top end of that. You could secure this guy for at least 3 years to be a consistent number two behind Garrett Crochet if you know that's the guy. And it's going to be expensive. He's a one of the better pitchers in the MLB. It's not going to be cheap, but you can go and get that guy if you really want. Do I think that they will? Absolutely not. But if that's your focus instead of a right-handed bat, I think that's the direction that they should go. To summarize, the Red Sox lost Alex Bregman, 31 years old, 18 home runs in 2025, 821 OPS. Signed with the Cubs, 175 million, 6 years. Bo Bichette is 27, hit the same number of home runs, had a better batting average, and wants to come for the long term, and you're not going to sign him. Fine. You need a power right-hander. Eugenio Suarez is 34. You get him for a couple years, and then we go through the same issue all over again. But hey, at least you did something. Moving on, because it's frustrating to talk about until they do something. The Bruins are. Oh, Chromebook's not loading either. There we go. Bruins still tied 0-0 with the Red Wings 5 minutes into the second period. Let's get into some emails because I have a feeling there's going to be some concerning the Red Sox. There's going to be a lot concerning the Patriots and probably some other miscellaneous stuff in there. We got about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's get into some here. Question here. Mike Vrabel just won his first playoff game with the team. How much of this 14-win season do you accredit to his coaching and the revamped culture versus just acquiring better players? I would. Good question. Thank you for sending in the question. I would actually credit most of the success from this team towards his culture more than I would the players. Drake May is great. Drake May is excellent. This defense is miles from what they were last year. But the way that the season ended last year, playing, what was it, checkers, something, on a team flight back from Arizona after losing, Jameis, not Jameis Winston. Excuse me. Wow, I'm going to completely forget his name. Starting quarterback to start the year last year. Wow, completely blanking here. Jacoby Brissett. Holy crap. Jacoby Brissett basically turning on his team and saying it's everyone else's fault but mine towards the end of the year. Uh, just the culture of this team from what it was 4 years ago, 4 years previous in the Belichick era to what it had become was, I think, had Patriots fans in a bit of a shock. I don't think Patriots fans really knew what hit them when we came to this Cleveland Browns-esque team. I mean, your head coach just purposely sold the last game of the year to basically say F you to everybody else for what he for what he had to go through for a year in the middle of a rebuild. He's fired 45 minutes after the game, and it was basically Robert Kraft's way of saying we're not doing that here, which I think, as concerning as it was, like, hey, we just fired our head coach, we don't really have a guy, was a sigh of relief for this entire Patriots franchise. The fans, the players, the front office, everybody, I think, was very happy to see the result of the actions from Robert Kraft, which was that's not going to be the culture here. And I think he knew what he was getting into with Mike Vrabel because he knew Mike Vrabel would instill that culture because he was a part of it, not as a coach, but as a player. He knows what it takes to win because he did it with Bill Belichick. Obviously, Bill Belichick is not coming back to coach, but I think you've got the players' coach version of him, which, in my opinion, is better. Bill Belichick was great, but Bill Belichick's players feared him. Belichick's players were literally scared of him because he was so harsh. If you messed up, you would not play. And I think that's true with Mike Vrabel, but Mike Vrabel will help the players get there so that they don't fail in the first place. And don't get me wrong, Belichick did the same thing, but Mike Vrabel has that connection with the players that will allow them to say, hey, I made a mistake. How do we fix it? And instill a culture of winning again, which a lot of the players in that locker room were there when they weren't and saw what that culture had turned into. And so I think that this turnaround has been one of the better ones in the NFL. I think he deserves to be at least top three in Coach of the Year voting. He probably won't win. If it was up to me, I probably wouldn't vote for him. I would probably go for Liam Cohen, just because, like, yeah, the Patriots know what it takes to win. Newsflash: we've won 6 Super Bowls. Yeah, all of the players aren't still there, but the front offices, the players are. Some of the coaches are. They know what it takes to win, and they know what the culture in New England is like. So I'll give it to Liam Cohen. He's instilled something similar in Jacksonville. It seemed like until the playoffs. Good question. Thank you for sending it in. I would mainly attribute it to the culture. To quickly answer your question, um, Patriots defense only gave up 3 points in the wild card game. Is this defense good enough to win a Super Bowl, even if the offense has a bad day? Thanks for sending in the question. Absolutely. I think we saw that this week. This Patriots defense single-handedly won the game. Yes, Drake May had the excellent touchdown throw to Hunter Henry, which I wish I could show you, but I cannot for some reason. Um, but this defense, nothing gave the Chargers nothing the entire night, and it was awesome. I was there, like I said. The energy in the building when that defense came out on the field. The offense went three and out. The offense turned the ball over. The offense had to punt it away. Every single time the defense came on the field, it was like somebody plugged the electricity back in and just the building roared. I mean, everybody was invested in this defense and ready to watch them go to work and force another error from Justin Herbert and this Chargers offense. And it was awesome. They have what it takes on the front lines. They have what it takes to back them up in the defensive back room. This team can win a Super Bowl off of the defense. And I think that this season has been a representation of exactly what the Eagles did last year when they won. We're seeing it this year. What has changed? What has changed on the Eagles offense from last year? Not a ton. They still have Saquon, they still have Jalen Hurts, they still have AJ Brown, they still have Devontae Smith, they still have most of their offensive linemen. The defense has changed. Granted, the defensive play caller changed for the Eagles, but bear with me. The personnel on the offense has not changed. And they are not nearly as successful this year. And it is because their defense is not as strong this year. And because last year, that was one of the best defensive performances I think we have seen in this new quarterback centered era of football. And I'm not talking about, Legion of Boom era. I'm talking in the past 10 years, the quarterback has become the main focus of the offense. It's a very protected position, and it's a passing focused game in the past 10 years. Let's recognize that change before I start talking about this and get bombarded because I'm saying that. I'm talking about in the last 10 years of the quarterback, let's call it the quarterback protection era, just for the argument's sake. That was one of the better defensive performances that we have seen. Patrick Mahomes, one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, was completely shut down in that game. And the score does not represent it because, unless I'm mistaken, the Chiefs put up 7 points in the first three and a half quarters of that game. And I think that's what we're seeing this year with the Texans. I think that's what we're seeing this year with the Broncos. And I think that's what we're seeing this year with the Patriots. Whoever comes out of the AFC will win the championship. Same thing with Seattle. But I watched the Seattle game against the 49ers, and to be honest, I wasn't super impressed. Yes, watching the game, they had all the momentum, and they should have been dominating the game. But looking at the scoreboard, they just couldn't get it done. And that worries me when picking a Super Bowl champion. I think whatever team comes out of the AFC, hopefully the Patriots, wins the Super Bowl. The defense has it from all three teams. They're fast, they're physical, they get to the quarterback, and they force errors. That was what we saw against the Chargers. That's what we saw from Houston last night. And to be honest, I think Houston looks better on defense than the Patriots right now. But I think the offensive line has a lot to learn from, and I think they're going to be able to get it done this week. Thanks for the question. Got another question. How much of a difference does it make playing in Foxborough this week versus playing away? Obviously, the simple answer is that it makes a difference. Home field advantage is huge. Being there last Sunday, my first playoff game, a night playoff game, the first playoff game in Foxborough in a while, made me realize just how big of an advantage this is. Not home field advantage in general, but home field advantage in Foxborough. That city, town, this area was ready for that. I wish I could pull up the video that I have for you there from my perspective, because this place was rocking. The figurative roof on Gillette Stadium would have come off, and did come off, in my opinion. At the beginning of the game, during the fumble, during Milton Williams' sack to end the game, that place was juiced. And every single defensive snap, they made it harder for the Chargers offense to get anything done. I believe they had pre-snap penalties, three pre-snap penalties. False starts. All I'm crediting myself and the rest of Patriots Nation with for bringing the noise to that place last week. And hopefully I'll be there this week, and hopefully I can show you what I'm talking about next week. Because that place was ready to go. And it's going to be a difference on Sunday. And it's going to continue to be a difference as long as the games are played in Foxborough. Huge advantage. Now, what I am worried about is if they make it to the Super Bowl and Pats Nation has to travel across the whole country. that could be worrisome, especially against the heavy favorite to come out of the NFC, Seattle. But we'll see. They've traveled in the past, and I think everybody's really excited about this team. I think they'll be able to make it up there. If I could, I would. Obviously, I think as everybody would. But yeah, let's check the schedule here. I think I am going to skip out on any more questions. I obviously cannot show you the plays of the week because I can't screencast. I have not been able to change my screen graphic appearance the entire time. I prepped probably 15 different ones of those for this episode, which I'm glad I spent time doing. And I cannot, like I said, show you the plays of the week, but I can reference them if you would like. Josh Allen was my number 3 with his throw to, no, not Christian Kirk, with his throw to, let's see if we can play it.
Josh Allen will have the
Oh, I can play the audio. I can play the audio.
ball in his hands on every play.
Coming after him. Gets rid of it deep. He's open. And Cooks has it. Cooks
Brandon
was
Cooks.
left alone in the second.
Brandon Cooks, probably a 35-yard throw down the field. Drake May. Josh Allen under pressure, off his back foot. Throws it up. Brandon Cooks comes down with it in between the two Jaguars safeties. Set up the game-winning touchdown with around 2 minutes left. Game-winning play, in my opinion, for the Bills. And just a summary of what Josh Allen is. Clutch, once again, in a high-pressure situation, makes the play. Are we really that surprised? At the 2, I got Paolo Banchero, game winner in overtime, 2 seconds left in Brooklyn.
I can do better.
Team get in there. Another look.
Shot is up for the win. Connects it in. Big time Banchero.
Wish I could show it to you again, but technical difficulties will not allow me, unfortunately. Apologies. And at my number 1, obviously, I would have showed it to you in the updates, and I would have shown it to you here. I cannot. Drake May's 28-yard passing touchdown to Hunter Henry. Derwin James was in a full extension, probably 30 inches in the air, to go and get this ball. It came right down, right over Derwin James's hands, into the end zone where I was standing. Not where I was standing in the stands. And the roof came off of Gillette Stadium. Like I said, I mean, that was one of the most electric moments I've seen in Gillette Stadium. Probably second to Christian Ellis's hit on Jackson Dart. I think it is that, Drake May's touchdown, and everything else. That was one of the distinct moments from that game that I think people will talk about if they go on to win the Super Bowl. Or even just make it far. We got a couple minutes left. I want to touch on the national championship quickly. Let's see if I can transition. Nope, still can't. Would have shown you some things on screen here if I could. Obviously, still cannot. But Miami will face off against Indiana, the 10 seed, against the 1 seed here in the national championship next Monday. Now my Chromebook is not working, which is also really good. Come on. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. A lot of technical stuff going on today. Anyway, Miami will face off against Indiana, the 10 seed against the 1 seed in Hard Rock Stadium. Big key to this game. Home field advantage for the Miami Hurricanes going up against Mendoza, Heisman winner, and this basically unfazable Indiana team. Let me read you off Indiana's rankings in the FBS this year. Scoring offense, 3rd. Scoring defense, 2nd. Total defense, 4th. Rushing defense, 2nd. Turnover margin, 1st. 2nd in sacks, 2nd in penalty yards. If I was Miami, I don't know what I would do when I looked at that. Plus 18 turnover margin, 45 sacks, only 26 penalties a game. Miami is 84th in penalties a game with 57. 0.1 average. They average 9 more points a game than Miami. They allow the third least yards per game, the second least rushing yards per game. I mean, they allow 75 rushing yards a game, 260 through the air. This is going to be a very interesting game. This is going to be a matchup of like just a well-coached team versus a talented team. I think this is basically a summary of that argument is does a well-coached team beat a talented team? Because this Miami defense is going to have their hands full, but they have the talent to get it done. It's going to be a battle. I'm really looking forward to it. Fernando Mendoza this year has 41 passing touchdowns with just 6 interceptions. This guy does not turn the ball over. His completion percentage is 73%. Now, him and Carson Beck have pretty much mirrored passing yards. Beck has a 74.4% completion percentage, a little bit higher than Mendoza, and was a Heisman finalist. So don't knock on Carson Beck. He can sling it, and he obviously, as we saw in the Fiesta Bowl, can get it done. Less than 2 minutes left, I would show it to you. Beats Ole Miss with his legs, runs it in from probably the 5-yard line, I think. Ended up winning the game off of that touchdown. Clearly a very emotional moment for him, as you can imagine, after transferring from Georgia. Biggest threats for this game, in my opinion, are both from Miami. Rueben Bain and Malachi Tony. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but a true freshman who should be a senior in high school. He should be doing what I'm doing right now. He should be doing his senior project in high school right now. But no, he is playing on the biggest stage in college football and is going to be, in my opinion, one of the keys to Miami getting it done this game. He ranks second in all of FBS with 99 receptions, and he's the engine to this Miami offense. He plays tailback. He plays slot. He plays wideout. They run him on jet sweeps. They run him as a true running back. They throw deep downfield to him. They can get it to him across the middle. He is the Swiss Army knife of this defense, of this offense. But every part of his talent is the best. He's not well-rounded, but okay. He's well-rounded, but the best. He will be the key to this game on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be Rueben Bain. Look at him. Just look up Rueben Bain and look at the guy and tell me that he's not a game wrecker and he will not be a key to this game. He is huge. He is fast. He is quick off the ball. And if he gets a free shot on Fernando Mendoza, I don't think Mendoza's going to get up. This Indiana offensive line has to have a game if they're going to stop this Miami defense, specifically the defensive line, more specifically Rueben Bain. You cannot let Rueben Bain get warm, and you cannot let him gain momentum, because once he starts going over the course of the game, I mean, not momentum physically, once he gets his momentum and starts to get pressures, he just gets stronger as the game goes on. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in this game. We're going to have it live next week on the show. This show is intended to be on Mondays from 8 to 9 p.m. Had some things going on yesterday. Couldn't get it done. We're here today, though. Next Monday, we will be here from 8 to 9 p.m. on Monday. National Championship will be live. We'll be covering that heavily, probably for most of the episode. Obviously going to do some updates with the Patriots. Obviously going to do some updates with hopefully the Red Sox if they do something. And speaking of updates on the Bruins, Thursday, the Bruins face off against the Kraken at, I believe, 7:30. And we are going to be covering that with a pregame segment, which should be posted on here around probably games at 7, probably around 4 p.m. I'll get that video out to you guys. I'm going to be prepping for it tomorrow and partially on Thursday. I'm going to record it once I get home, and it's going to be out to you guys as a short format, not short, as a video format, not live, pre-recorded segment, 5 to 10 minutes, just a quick game preview for you, and hope you can tune into that, enjoy it, watch it. And then, depending on whether or not I am at the Patriots game on Sunday, I will give you a post-game analysis on Sunday night. That will be live and then posted on the channel after, depending on what's happening. But the schedule on the channel, if you go to the channel, there's a schedule section. You can look at that, and I will be updating that with all of the events that are coming up. And obviously, you'll see the videos if they've already come out. But please be checking that if you're interested in looking at the live or in viewing the live events and seeing it as it happens. So I hope to see you guys here on Thursday, not live, watching the pregame preview for the Bruins. And I hope to see you live on Sunday doing some postgame analysis for the Patriots. Now that I'm saying that, I'm realizing that I hope I actually do not get to see you on Sunday because I hope to be at the game. If I cannot make it there, I will be here doing my duty as a sports reporter and getting you my thoughts after hopefully a Patriots win. One last update before we go. Bruins up 1-0 with 6 minutes left in the second period. Getting it done was Pavel Zacha. 3 shots on net and a goal for him. Victor Arvidsson has 6 shots on net tonight with an assist to Pavel Zacha, along with Mason Lohrei. That's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Pick 6 podcast with myself, Charlie Brito, a senior project podcast dedicated to covering New England and national sports. That's going to be all for this week. We'll see you Thursday. We'll see you maybe Sunday, and we'll see you next Monday, 8 to 9 p.m. Please send your emails to us at the pick6pod@gmail.com. We will read them. We will go through them. Really appreciate you.